3 minutes, get to know the candidate, where they can use that 3 minutes for anything they want. I have a series of questions that have been mixed up a bit to make sure that more of your questions have been answered in the public forum. So again, they'll have 3 minutes to answer those with a 1 minute warning. 8 minutes will follow with a 1 minute warning for the questions you submitted and any question you've thought of since then. I'd like to introduce to you Triston Cole. He is a Republican from Bel Air, trying to win the Republican primary in August for the 105th district with 3 minutes. Triston Cole.
Thank you, Noah. Again, I am Triston Cole. I'm running for the House of Representatives in the 105th district. And I'll begin by telling you a little bit about myself, my family, my background. I currently work for Barn & Dairy, driving semi-truck 4 days a week. And this past week, I got just shy of 56 hours in those 4 days. And on the home front, my wife and I, we run a small farm where we grow vegetables for roadside market. We've got 3 young daughters, 1.5, 5.5, and almost 8 at the end of this month. I'm currently on 4 boards. I'm on the Michigan State University Extension Council for Antrim County. I am also a county director for Antrim County Farm Bureau, where I co-chair the Policy Development Committee, and I'm a longtime editor of the newsletter for Antrim County. I am a financial trustee for Eastport Baptist Church, and I am currently in my 4th year as a member of the Michigan Farm Bureau's State Young Farmer Committee, which is a committee that helps form the leadership program and direct and increase experience at the leadership level for young farmers statewide. It's a 22-member committee. And it has been just a wonderful experience for me, and it has really shown the need for agricultural-minded folks to be in our legislature, which compelled me to step up and throw my hat in the ring to run. I'm also a former professional hunting guide, and I was also a former member of the Michigan Deer Elk Farmers Association. That's all for my introduction.
Very good. Would you want Michigan, and would you support Michigan opting out of being excluded from Obama's health care reform?
Yes. It is unconstitutional, Norm. Under the 10th Amendment.
Okay.
We are a sovereign state.
Currently, the state of Michigan does not verify citizenship with certified documents when registering them to vote. Will you introduce or support verification with registration to vote?
Yes.
Do you support the fair tax reform, as was described in an earlier forum?
Absolutely. The fair tax is extremely important to Michigan. Now is the time to step up and change our regulatory system, the way that we are taxed, so that you folks can choose when you pay a tax and when you don't want to be taxed so much. It is a consumption-based tax and not an earnings-based tax. And the fair tax, when implemented, would catapult us from 48th in the nation to the lead, and that would bring jobs and profitability back to Michigan.
With the deluge of visioning as a way for public planning and land use, how will you ensure that the rights of private property owners will not be ignored or sacrificed in the hands of those who are professional visioners?
By shrinking government.
By what?
It is so important that we have private property owners as legislators, especially farmers like myself, and that we work to maintain individual liberties and private property rights at every level.
How do you feel the DNR is doing in its involvement in managing our resources?
Poorly. As a hunter and a fisherman, folks in Michigan, we're missing the boat. I go to Ohio to deer hunt because of their management philosophies and their practices. They do a better job. They have a lot of hunters, they have a lot of private property, yet they have rack bucks running everywhere. It is an unbelievable hunting destination. I've also hunted out west, and they are wonderful managers of the natural resources out there, and Michigan has dropped the ball. We should be a lead state. We've got folks that drive to Canada, right through God's country, right here, yet the DNR has dropped the ball.
Do you think that Michigan should be a right-to-work state, meaning that workers do not have to join the union to take a certain position?
Absolutely. Right to work is one of my platform stances. And I'll tell you a quick story about my sister. She's a missionary in Africa right now. She worked as a nurse's aide at Meadowbrook in Bel Air, a long-term care facility. As a condition of her employment, she was forced to join the union. Now, unions primarily donate their funds to democratic causes and support abortion, which is fundamentally against my sister's beliefs, but needing a job and not having many options, because we're not a right-to-work state, she was forced to contribute money to support abortion against her beliefs. And I believe that is wrong, and that is something that we really, really need to work on as a state.
Any overall ideas on how to balance, or specific ideas, I should say, on balancing the state budget?
Shrink government. In our personal lives, if we don't have the income, we don't spend it. And the folks that do really run into problems. The state is having those problems right now, and it's got to stop. Folks, they're spending our money. They're creating an entitlement society that is unsustainable, and they're creating a nanny state. I see it as I'm delivering every day dairy products to the stores and businesses across Michigan. I've got stories, I can go on for hours on. A quick one from last summer, waiting at a 7-Eleven store in Traverse City. Bob, I've got a friend here in the audience that can vouch for a lot of these things. I'm waiting to be checked in. Folks come in off the street, got rocks in on a skateboard. It's a sunny day. I'm working a 14-hour day. Perhaps a couple of energy drinks, a beef jerky, bag of chips. We pay for it. He rocks off down the road on a skateboard, perfectly able-bodied and able to work. But he feels entitled to our tax dollars to fund his habits, and that is a poor use of our tax dollars. We're creating a society that is unable to care for itself and unwilling, because the state is stepping up to take care of those folks. And I'm so against that from what I've seen working out there in the private sector.
Tim, if you want to look at people who might have their hands raised, it's going to be Steve now, is it? She'll be right back. Okay, let's move on. Part-time legislature, yes, no, or why for the state of Michigan?
I'm researching the part-time legislature idea. The less time we have lawmakers in Lansing, the better off it is for the private sector and individuals.
Another question, would you go as far as to ban unions for public sector employees?
It should be an option if you want to join a union. The right to work, you can still join a union, you can be a member of the union, but you're not forced to join a union.
Any specific ideas on helping to reduce Michigan's almost 15% unemployment?
Right to work, Michigan fair tax, that would go a long ways. See, the role of state government is not to provide jobs for the people. The role of the state government is to create an environment for the private sector to create lasting employment and increase profitability.
This next one, would you write or support a bill which allowed counties to use a per household fee instead of a millage to fund things like Commission on Aging, Parks and Rec? The per household fee would be the same for everyone regardless of the value of the property.
I'm going to have to think about that a little longer and see how fairly that it is applied, and if it is a tax increase or not. Because if it's a tax increase, no way.
Questions, Kim, from the audience, please? If not, I can continue. In the back.
One of the problems that I see with state government as well as federal government is their inability to set priorities. So everything becomes important. They have the fingers in every pie. What would be your 3 top priorities that you would believe that the state should do? Your top 3.
Top 3. Right to work, Michigan fair tax, shrinking government in the form of cutting the funding. When the money's not there, it goes away. And that has to be, those 3 things have to be the top priority. Our state is sliding downhill economically. We're losing our citizens. I have 3 young daughters that I want to stay in Michigan. The reason I'm stepping up for leadership is because I want to create an environment that there will be jobs for my daughters. Folks, I've got skin in this game. And there's, real quick, there's another, a little saying that floats around farm here at our board meetings and when we're in Lansing meeting with legislators, and that is, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I intend to be at the table.
So Triston,